Hi, my name's Alex. Today, I'm here to talk about the real reason why music is getting worse. Hello, I'm just editing this right now. Anthony Fantano just released a video talking about the same exact video. 40% of our points overlap because it's pretty obvious, what Rick says, the obvious, there's an obvious counter argument. So I recorded the rest of the video before the Fantano video came out. If you're here anyways and you've already watched the Fantano video, you probably just want to hear more Rick Beato bashing. So don't worry, there's about 25 minutes of that coming up. So highly recommend that you still watch through. Just little editor's note. I'm so tired because all the comments are like, Rick, I'm so glad you said this. My grandchildren listened to that Travis Scott fella. I remember back in my day when the Eagles were in the top 10 and every chick in the concert was f***ing hot, a 10 out of 10, and Lynyrd Skynyrd was flying the flag at the Oakland Coliseum. The top 10 comments are things I disagree with. So instantly that makes my blood boil. So let's get into it. Right off the bat, we're going to be going into Act 1.
Music is too easy to make.
So in the first 2 minutes, I think, of the video, he goes over these 4 different technologies. He talks about Frank Sinatra and single mics.
And they had one microphone. And they would get it balanced just right. Frank would say, okay, I'm ready to do it. And he'd sing it.
That progresses to multi-mics and multi-tracks with the Beatles.
Get into the 1960s or so, and then you have things where you have multi-track machines. You could go in if you had a mistake in a vocal part or any instrument, and you do a punch-in.
Auto-tune with Cher and T-Pain.
They invented this thing, auto-tune. I've talked about this a million times on here.
And then compares auto-tune to the same thing happened to drum parts and talks about quantization.
And then they give you this tool called Beat Detective. Then you can actually quantize an entire part. So then it becomes like a drum machine. So it's not human-like.
He brings up this example with John Bonham, and he plays the quantized version.
Here's what it sounds like as a machine. Now here's the actual human performance of John Bonham. Notice the swing in it.
I'm going to be a little nitpicky here, all right? You want to do a blind study, which means you don't have any visual aid. You're just track 1, track 2. You keep everything constant. You don't have the text that says the robot version or quantized equals robot version, and then you don't have the metronome going on, and then in the John Bonham one you don't have the footage of him playing, and you don't preface it by saying listen to how soulful this is, because it's and maybe I'm outing myself for being an listener, but it's whatever, man, okay, it's a quantized swing pattern, and then you have a metronome to it, and then you listen to it and it's I don't know, dude. Maybe I'm garbage at music. So my question is, why did you mention the Sinatra single mic and then the advancement to multi-mics and multi-tracks? And why did you mention auto-tune? You mentioned these 2 things, but nothing really comes from it, But I don't know.
But you typically have these crappy drummers that you'd have to fix their parts. And once you fix their parts, you start moving the bass around, you start moving the guitars around, and then you pretty much have sterile, generic, quantized rock music that has no vibe at all.
Hello. You may notice I'm wearing a different shirt. It's because I'm from the future. No, the footage corrupted, so I have to retake this. This take is very rock-centric. I feel it's ignorant towards electronic music, where a lot of electronic music is dependent on quantized grid patterns. House music, for example, basically all of it's quantized. That's kind of part of the effect, right? Then by Rick's logic, does that sterile drum pattern, that has no nuance, does that have no soul, no energy in it? And it's no, I would say a ton of people think house music has soul. I can guarantee you a lot of folks would say that D&B or jungle has more soul, more things that move them than Led Zeppelin. And in D&B you're just copying and pasting the amen break for 3 minutes or however long the song is. And then and it fucking goes it goes stupid. The idea that quantized drums immediately rules out the possibility that the song has soul or heart is completely ignorant to electronic music.
People realize is that it's really difficult and time consuming to record a drum set. Not only is it hard to play the drums well, but it's hard to record the drums well, and you have to have training. It's not easy to do. You have a great ear, you got to know how to tune them, you got to know what is a good snare sound from a bad sound, you got to know if the toms are ringing too much, you got to know if they're in the right pitches, all this kind of stuff. There's so many decisions to make. Now, some of you are out there thinking, what are you talking about, Rick? You don't need to have a good sounding room. You can have a crappy sounding room. You don't even need good mics because you're going to just replace everything with samples. Well, where do you think samples come from? They come from people that know how to record them. That one was for free.
Okay, who cares? It's like probably because they're doing that out of like necessity, because they don't have the money and they don't have the tech to like record live drums like legit, you know? And it's like, this is kind of building up to my thing about like accessibility. Rick, at a certain point, you're kind of just criticizing accessibility. You know, I'm planting the seeds of my argument, of my final paragraph, you know, my so what, right? Shout out Mr. White. Like, you're just criticizing accessibility, you know? It's like some people will go to the samples because they don't know, and yes, they are in that sense dependent on people who know how to record drums. So shout out to the people who did that, and shout out to the people who put it on Logic or GarageBand or free plugins. People who don't know how to do that can now access.
Most people now just use amp modelers. They plug into their computer, they pull up their program, everything is done for them. They've already been pre-mic'd, pre-selected. They're all using the same algorithms.
It really gets under my skin when people like use the word like algorithm and just like throw it at things, and it's like, it's bad, like, you know, and it's like just saying like everyone's using the same algorithm as like that part, like that doesn't mean anything. I'm not claiming that I know this stuff. I got my buddy to confirm that this is like bull. Quote, just because it's a bunch of Fourier transforms and stuff under the hood doesn't mean that it produces the sameness that Rick is claiming. Boom. You, Rick. I have more buddies in CS than you do. Just because it's like the same code, like just because it's the same like algorithms, like in these amp modelers, like who fucking cares? It's like saying like English writers are writing in English. Like that means that Hemingway and Virginia Woolf are the same, you know, because they're both writing in English. Harold and the Purple Crayon is the same as the English version of the Bible. It's like the under the hood shit. It's like, oh, well, you know, every Japanese car is the same because they use the same kind of metal for like the hood, you know, and it's like what? Like, no, like that's so oversimplistic.
They can create great sounds. They're so easy to use. Doesn't take any skill at all, but it doesn't take any creativity either. Then, of course, you have the MIDI packs that you can buy if you can't play keyboards. So it'll just have pre-programmed chord progressions because for some reason, people can't just kind of space their fingers out and learn to play a few chords like that. Or maybe just experiment. What is this? What is this?
I mean this so sincerely, please shut the fuck up. Because we have pre-programmed chords, patches in DAWs, you know, people nowadays can't fucking learn chords. Dude, shut the fuck up. Oh my god, please shut the fuck up. This generation, and it's like, dude, like, this generation, we're fucking packing. This is my call to the fucking people who also watch these Rick Beato videos, but it's like, you can't name drop Jacob Collier and being like, wow, he's such a great musician now for this generation. It's just like that's the thing. It's like he doesn't give his flowers where they're deserved, you know. There's no nuance to it. It's just like, oh, people, like, now there's pre-programmed things because people can't learn chords, and it's like, oh, like, let's space these out, like, and it's like, yeah, Rick, you're playing a fucking triad because that's all you know how to play. Oh my gosh, man, like, it's so infuriating. Okay, so at this point in the video, Rick is gonna be like, well, like, these are my 3 points. He's got the three-pronged approach.
The creative dependency on technology limits the ability of people to innovate, I believe.
This claim that creative dependency on technology limits the ability to innovate is kind of like circular reasoning in philosophy, you know, like a smart person would know. Creativity and innovation are pretty similar also. It also could be like, what's it called? Tautology. because they almost mean like the same thing. Like, because I don't know how to make chords and I'm dependent on a DAW preset, I can't make chords. And it's like, yeah, okay. Yeah, the president of the United States is a good leader because he's the president of the United States. Yeah, it's like circular. Like, you're not claiming, you're not proving anything. It's just like, yeah. Like, yeah.
The homogenization of music. The over-reliance on similar tools, as I just brought up with the amp models, creates a lack of diversity. I think that leads to music becoming more formulaic and people just following trends of using certain types of sounds. This is why these trap beats have been in vogue for the last 20 years. People just, they know they work, so they just keep using them all the time.
This is all about perspective. This is one of my points. It's all about perspective. You criticize people, oh man, like they're just following the sound, like they're just following the trap music, man. It's homogenization of music. And it's like, that's just like how genres are like naturally made. Like that's just how like social beings are. Are you on Badfinger because they heard the Beatles and they're like, wow, what are these harmonizations and what are these like, you know, odd time signatures in the middle of the chorus? And it's like, yeah, like they're just following these, you know, I can just say like they're just following these trends, you know, that's already, and it's this homogenization of music. Helter Skelter, it's cited as like the first metal song. All of metal, it's like, well, they're just copying Paul McCartney. And just because they put some distortion, they're all just chasing this distortion like sound. It's like you put distortion on guitar and you're just simplifying it to like chasing trends and chasing sounds and this homogenization of music. And it's like, no, dude, that's so oversimplistic. You're just completely disregarding like a genre of music like that has so much nuance in it. And it's like, again, you don't give trap a chance. It's like if I just cut off rock because like the money beat existed, because like there's just this simple thing that people in the industry know works for like pop music, that because it's easy, it's formulaic, and I'm just like, well, like rock, that's all rock music is. I don't give any artist a chance, any albums, and it's like that's what you're fucking doing with trap. Like you have no respect for like the genre, and you just fucking write it off. You know, I don't fucking know why. Like, you're from Atlanta, you live in Atlanta, you owe it to the city you live in to like learn about one of the most significant genres that has ever come out of that place. Also, I just have to bring this up because he always mentions it in like the top 10 videos. Anytime he listens to a song where the title is in Spanish, I know exactly what he's like, the first thing he's gonna fucking say. There it is. There's that overused beat. There's that like the bum, gada, gado, 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 gado. First of all, it's called a fucking dembow. Learn what it is instead of just being like, it's that beat. And it's like overused, and it's like, dude, like, listen to yourself. You produced a rock record. Dun, 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 dun. You can say the same shit. Have some self-awareness. Like, go into the nuance of like a dembow. Why does it exist in Spanish-speaking music? Is it maybe because of the flow of Spanish? And like, is it maybe like at least like be respectful of it and not just call it some like, there's that fucking like Spanish beat again, like, and it's so annoying. It's always here. Like, that Bad Bunny guy really has to switch up his beat. Shut the fuck up. Sometimes John Bonham plays the same, just like simple beat, and it's like, yeah, because that's what best fits the thing. Sometimes Ringo plays this like the most simple beat, and it's like, yeah, because that's what fits the vibe. They don't have to go balls to the wall every time. This is my thing, you know. I'm putting a flag. You know, we're on watch, like, because that's my thing. Is like, yo, Rick, like, you know, like what the optics are. You're this like old crabby white dude who's like, man, I love rock music, and it's like, but man, you know what I hate? I hate that trap music, that they're just using the same 808 sounds and the same patterns. And you know what I also hate? Like that Spanish speaking pattern that's always in those Bad Bunny songs. And it's like, dude, like have some self-awareness.
Quality versus quantity. This is a big thing. Okay, so the easier production makes the process go faster, which creates an oversaturation of music, making it harder to find really exceptional things.
This part is basically just going into act 2 of like consuming music, but I'm getting tired, so I'm gonna leave that to tomorrow me. I'm gonna get some sleep we'll see you tomorrow.
Act 2. Music is too easy to consume.
Good morning. Another day, another opportunity to share a Rick Beato video. He follows up Act 2, music is too easy to consume, with this like analogy with his like faucet and water. It's like 2 minutes, so I'm just gonna...
So this is the water faucet in my kitchen. But imagine this is streaming on Spotify or Apple Music. When I hit this and I start the stream, the music has very little importance if you think about it this way. It goes from the faucet, down the drain, out to the sewer, where it's recycled again.
There is simply no way you are criticizing the advancement of music technology. You have a f***ing tap faucet, a touch screen faucet. Out of anything that needs to be touch screen, a sink is like back of the line, F tier technology that needs to have like some like touch sensitive ability. What is the utility of this? Like what is it? I don't even know.
By comparison, when I was a kid, if I wanted to buy this Led Zeppelin 2 record, I had to get a job or borrow money from my parents to buy it.
Yeah, man, that's how like buying stuff works. So you get a job and then you use the money to purchase things, or you borrow money from your parents. That's like how every purchase works. And it's still the same thing with music. I have Apple Music, and not Spotify. Write in your hate comments and death threats right now, because I'm on the family plan. So like I stream my music by borrowing money from my parents. That's still how it works.
Think about this. All of the music that exists, or at least it's been uploaded to Spotify or Apple Music, is available for $10.99 a month. I'm talking about all of Michael Jackson's music, all of AC/DC, Pink Floyd, Whitney Houston, Tupac, Kendrick Lamar, Juice WRLD.
Juice WRLD, Kendrick Lamar, Juice WRLD, Foo Fighters, ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters, ladies and gentlemen, Juice WRLD, the Foo Fighters. For some reason I thought you folk would be Chinese.
Eminem, Dr. Dre, all the works of Beethoven, of Bach, of Mozart, of Stravinsky, of Shostakovich, of Charlie Parker, of John Coltrane, of Miles Davis, Brad Meldo, of Pat Metheny, Keith Jarrett,
of Boy Pablo, of Donnie Trumpet and the Social Experiment, of Kempetras, of Lil B the Bass God, all of the works of Lynyrd Skynyrd, of Omarion, of G-Eazy, of El King, of Santo and Johnny, Group Love, the music of A$AP Ferg, Hippie Sabotage, Vitamin String Quartet, Neff the Pharaoh, all the works of various artists, Sun Ra, Andy Williams, of Kanye West, Gucci Mane, Big Sean, 2 Chainz, Travis Scott, Yo Gotti, Quavo, Designer.
All of that, $10.99 a month for the price of what we used to pay for one album. Which is why music is not as valued by young people. There is no sweat equity put into obtaining it, having it be part of your collection, having it be part of your identity of who you are.
There is, like, you're measuring sweat equity with the money you had to spend. I measure it by the time I had to filter out what I don't like. If I'm making a playlist, if I'm making, my summer 24 sad playlists, like I have a lot of music to get through. I have a lot of filtering to do of what I like and don't like. I mean, because, we live in the age of information. And that's kind of my point, is that it's no longer about achieving the financial means to purchase a record that you like. Now the sweat equity is figuring out what you do like. And I think that's way more important, right? Like that's, now that it's more accessible, there we go, a little keyword. Now that it's more accessible to listen to all of Miles Davis and then to suddenly jump to listen to all of like Lynyrd Skynyrd, you want sweat equity. One of my favorite bands, I will have a week where I only listen to this band, Los Tres Diamentes. They are a Mexican bolero band from the 50s or 60s. Do you want to know? And you want to know how I found them? I watched the Selena movie with J-Lo. The movie's awesome, right? But honestly, hand on heart, my favorite song was at the very beginning when her dad is singing like what I called like Mexican doo-wop, because that's the only terminology I had when I was a sophomore in high school, right? I sounded like that dude from Overwatch, and what is that melody? It's when her dad is singing. I forget if if they're in Texas already or if it's in Mexico, but just this bar, and it's just like the 3 dudes who are nailing harmonies, and it's great, and it's because it's bolero. And so I went on a tear going through different bolero artists. I don't remember if I scoured like the Mexico top 40s in 1965, but I eventually ran into Los Tres Diamentes, and they're great. That entire album where it's like white, but then like they're like kind of green, and it's kind of like sepia, and it's just like, oh my gosh, it's such a good album, dude. Like you gotta check it out. You gotta check that out. It's so good. Rick, you should check it out. They don't use the dembow, none of that boom da boom dum boom da boom dun. Yeah, you know, it's just I don't even think there's like drums. You know, there's just like light percussion. So you know, figure out something to not like about that.
What I'm saying is that music has basically become valueless. If you only have to pay $10.99 a month to have access to anything, what is one song worth?
See, like, what the is that, man? Aren't you supposed to be a rock and roll musician? You're tethering the value of music to money? What is that? Music is, and I hate to be that, like, hippie, but, like, music is more than money. Like, music is, like, love. Music is, like, memories. You're saying music, songs nowadays are valueless because it's free. It has no meaning. It has no value. Like, you know what else is free? Like, you know what else was free? I'm just speaking in Rick terms right now. You know what else is free? The Beatles' rooftop concert in 1969. That was free. You know, would you call that valueless? I know a guy who wouldn't consider that valueless. You want to know who I know? Peter Jackson. You want to know how I know he doesn't think it's valueless? Because he made a 9-hour documentary out of like 30 hours worth of footage leading up to that moment. That's how significant that moment was. And yeah, okay, of course, like it goes into like the nuances of them in the recording studio, like and their last days and the whole drama with that. All of that builds up to that moment, you know, which was free. Like, I don't really know how Rick has gotten this far. How one of the largest music channels on the YouTube platform and on social media is getting this stance. Because it's like, dude, like that's not the vibe. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Like, do you analyze all things in your life due to how much it costs? Like, if that's the case, then like that's kind of pathetic, you know? Like, it's easy, but it's kind of pathetic. There's more to it than the price tag.
So try this. Try to sit down just a couple times a week, play just a few songs. Don't look at your phone, or as I call it, the thought deletion device, because it empties your mind out. Don't look at TikTok. Don't look at YouTube or Twitter. Don't look at Instagram. Just listen to the music. Let it flow over you. Think about the lyrics. Think about the melody. And try to experience music like you used to. Or if you're young, try to experience music in the way that we used to.
Rick, here are my final words. Here's my advice to you. For you to sit down and to listen to music like you used to. Because it's all about perspective. You view community and genres as homogeneity. You view accessibility as a negative. That's my main thing. You view accessibility as a negative. What is this? What is this elitist thing of like only people who know like how to play chords should be able to make music? Like, you know what else is accessibility? Guitars. Like the standardization of guitars. You don't have to be a bard, you know? Like, you don't have to be a certain class of people. That's also accessibility. I don't think the root of it is that technology is advancing. You know, technology has always been advancing. Like, and you're not complaining that like John Lennon was able to pick up a guitar because the guitar was made accessible. So my final advice to you, Rick, is you listen to music like when you were younger. You know, don't listen to Future like you know everything about music production and you know everything about music. Like, listen to the vibe, like indulge in the vibe. You know, you don't have to like it, but you just give it a chance, a fair chance, like you might have given Zeppelin too. It's just all about perspective. So, I don't know. I just wish that one of the largest music YouTubers on social media would be a little more empathetic to younger people, you know, kind of have a better perspective on that. So, who am I to say, you know? Who am I to say? Anyways, thank you for watching. All the work of West Side Gun. of George Benson, of Four Non Blondes, of Lil Uzi Vert. All the music of Bane's World, of Juice WRLD, Foo Fighters. Ladies and gentlemen, the Foo Fighters. More deep, more deep, more deep.